Good morning, everybody. My name is Lorna Wilson. I'm the Head of Policy, Membership and Innovation at SFHA, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our very first Member Showcase series. Our guests today are Pauline Barr from Calvi Housing Association, Linda Cameron from Proven Hill Housing Association, and Kieran McQuaid from East Hall Residents Association. They're here representing the Easterhouse Housing and Regeneration Alliance, which represent 8 community housing associations and cooperatives that operate in Greater Easterhouse. Before we get started, I've just a few housekeeping announcements. First of all, the webinar is scheduled to last just under an hour. If you need to leave any time, a recording of today's session will be available after the broadcast, so you can look at it afterwards. Attendees don't have audio enabled, but you can ask a question at any time using the Q&A function on your control panel, and you're welcome to ask questions throughout, and we'll wait until after at the end to answer those. So don't be disheartened if we don't pick up your question straight away. And you'll also notice on your control panel that there's a chat function. So you can use this if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, and a member of the SFHA team will be able to help you. So that's everything in terms of our housekeeping. So let's get started. So there's really no better way to demonstrate the power of community control than to share something very special. So I'm really delighted to say this is the public premiere of a great video, and we're going to show the video and then we'll have a chat afterwards with our panelists. So over to you, Gary, and we'll watch the film now. Thank you.
Over the years, Easterhouse has seen a great deal of change, but one thing that hasn't changed is its sense of community. When residents of Easterhouse were experiencing difficult times and housing conditions were at an all-time low, they took action and fought to build their community. They believed that everyone has the right to a quality and affordable home, that everyone has the right to receive support and advice when they need it, and that everyone has the right to have a say about how their community is shaped. This is the story of how community-led housing has helped to transform Easterhouse into the thriving community we see today.
Well, before the housing associations took over, the houses were in a terrible condition. Dampness and the environment outside the houses was pretty bad.
The majority of houses were derelict and boarded up. There was no green areas, there was no play areas, there was graffiti everywhere.
We were fed up living in houses that weren't fit to be lived in. Our children were constantly sick, constantly had colds, and we were getting no repairs done.
That was the motivation for getting involved, to change that, to live in a community where my kids could grow up, where I felt they were safe. Back then we were looking to get the houses refurbished. The aim was to do what we could with what we had at the time. The majority of cases, that was refurbishment. The houses were new windows, central heating, new bathrooms, new kitchens. Could never have took that jump to now, where the majority of tenants are living in new build homes. It was not something we could envisage. Couldn't imagine ever getting there.
Growing up, I've seen it changing from like not having anything until I've been like spring parks and it being a nice area to live in, and now like lots of people want to live there. Their waiting list is amazing, and maybe 30 years ago that wouldn't have been the case. People were trying to move out of the East End and now people are wanting back to the East End because the housing associations have made it a lot better place to be.
It's vital for the community and the tenants to have that more of a proudness to their area and not to be ashamed to say I come from Meester House.
As a housing association, we listen, we look at the needs within the community. What do people need? What size homes do they need? Everybody is listened to, and as much as we can, we provide for the different needs.
Some of the housing associations have their own community centres where they run classes, they run nurseries, adult learning centres, groups for people with all sorts of disabilities.
I've been coming to the youth club for around about 5 or 6 years, and right now we're making a fire and we're going to be cooking pizza on it. I enjoy it because it gives me some time to play with my friends. I feel more relaxed and like I've met the friends that I've never met before, and like trying activities that they've never tried before and that.
When I saw my job advertised as well, I thought, I know, I used to leave the house and think that the place was a bit of a mess and I can fix that myself now. I think any opportunity at all that can come up to help your community or help your neighbour, you should take it.
We're all born the same wherever you go, so I don't see why people shouldn't have a roof over their head and a bed to stay warm at night rather than worrying about if they've got enough room or if the house is adequate enough for them. Everybody should have the same opportunities.
Having 4 people in a 2-bedroom flat just didn't fit, it wasn't right. Now I've been offered this. It'll make a massive difference to my life because it's more relaxed because of the amount of space we've got. It feels as if I've won the lottery or something. It's amazing.
It was excellent today to see so many young people coming along because we need their energy. We need to listen to them and learn from them, and hopefully they can listen and learn from us as well.
The future's theirs and the community's future belongs to them. The history and their heritage belong to them as well, and it's there to be kept and it's there to grow.
Hi there, that was just fantastic, wasn't it? I'm not sure how you felt watching that, but I certainly feel really proud to be working with organisations like those that are in EHRA. Very, very inspiring. So I'd like to invite Pauline and Kieran to put on your videos and unmute if that's okay. Hi there. So do you want to kick off by just introducing yourselves? Do you want to go first, Pauline, to say hello and where you're from?
Hi everyone, my name's Pauline Barr. I'm a committee member to the Calvi Housing Association and with the EHRA group.
Great. And Kieran?
Hi everybody, I'm Kieran McQuaid. I work for East Hall Residents Association and I also stay within Easter House.
Brilliant. We were hoping to have Linda with us today. I think she's had some technical difficulties, and if she can join, then we'll introduce her as well to the panel. So if anybody's got any questions, if you use the Q&A function, I'll keep a wee eye on those and we can talk through them. But just to kick us off, it'd be good to hear from you in terms of your thoughts on the purpose of community-controlled housing associations and what's different about your organisations from other types of organisations. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that. What makes being a community-controlled organisation special and different? Do you want to kick off, Kieran? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think it's important for a community organisation to be able to know the community they're working and to be able to identify their specific needs, because as we know, Easter House is one big community. I mean, you can see it quite clear, even walking in somewhere like the Lock Shopping Centre or the Shandwick Shopping Centre, whatever you want to call it. You can see that you'll bump into hundreds of people that you know that live around the local community, but within each specific area, I think they've got different issues that sort of need addressed, and it's important to have the voices of people that live in the areas coming into the community centres and, you know, making clear what they need or what they want and what they think are issues. So, yeah.
Hi, Linda.
Hi there.
Hello, you've managed to join us. That's great. Did you want to just say hello and where you're from?
I'm Linda Cameron. I'm chairperson of EHRA, and I'm a committee member of Provenhall Housing Association.
Fantastic. That's great. You managed to get on to the call. I don't know, Polly, if you get anything to add in terms of being part of a community controlled housing association, what that means to you?
I think it allows you. To have your own control to what is to be progressed within your community, rather than outside body having the control. It's good to keep it all community felt and for anyone to have their say.
And so you're all on committees, so it'd be good to hear your stories of how you came to be on committees in your organisation. So Linda, do you want to kick off on this in terms of your own experience?
I've been on Provenhall Housing Committee for 28 years. When I first heard about the setting up the association, I thought it was a really good idea because we had old windows, steel window frames. The housing was just horrendous. So many people, especially young children, were always ill, and it was a great opportunity to have our say and for the community to have a say in what kind of housing and community we would like to live in, and to have repairs done, and our thoughts to be taken into account and be known with a name and not just a number, not just a person that pays rent, but to have a voice within our community.
Yeah, that's great, Linda. 28 years, what amount of commitment. Must be a huge part of your life. What about yourself, Pauline? What's your story in terms of how you got involved?
I joined the committee, I think, just under 25 years ago. I had a just shy of a year's break, and now back on the committee. The reason I joined, I wanted to know how my housing association worked. I wanted to know where they got all the funds, because it wasn't always rent money that could progress your area. So the curiosity basically got me wanting to be a committee member. Over the years, I worked my way up from a standard committee member to a treasurer, secretary, vice chair, and I'm proud to say I've done a full 5 years as chair. That was an amazing experience. A few hiccups to start with, but it was good that anybody within my area could approach me. I've never had any abuse from anyone. I always felt that I could be approached along with other committee members within my area, and just letting them see what us as a committee are trying to do and ask us any questions to why. So that's what keeps me within the committee and just watching how it progresses for our tenants.
That's great, thanks, Pauline. And Kieran, so are you involved in a group specifically for younger people, or what's your involvement and how did you get interested?
Well, I started volunteering when I was younger at Glasgow Kelvin College in Easter House, so they have a youth access programme, and I attended it, and then eventually when I was old enough I started volunteering, and their focus is sort of trying to bring in digital skills to sort of young people and stuff like that, and they work in quite a lot of the community organisations around the area, so including the Glenburn Centre, fair and stuff like that. So I did know them before that, and that's how I came to that club and started volunteering. From there, I've sort of been interested in youth work and community-based work, and I managed to get an opportunity to work here at the Glenburn Centre as a youth worker, but I'm also working with adults with additional sporting needs as well in the centre. So it is quite rewarding as well, because when I first started working here, you know, I didn't know, I have a few friends that stay in East Hall, but you actually get to know quite well the community that you're in. Like, ever since, you know, the COVID pandemic, it's been, from our perspective, it's been quite good when it comes to engaging with the wider community, because I felt as if, although I was working there was a good amount of people that I didn't really have much contact with, but throughout that, it was as if when I drive in the morning, every way along the road I'm stopping or beating the horn or you know, speaking to people on the way in. So definitely it's you know, it's great. It feels good to be a part of the community, and I'm really glad that I've got this opportunity to work here and work with people I work with in the community.
And how do you, I suppose this is for all of you, how do you go about finding new committee members and just encouraging people, young people like Kieran and others, to kind of come forward? Obviously you guys are very inspiring, so listening to you, it might encourage others. So that's maybe one thing that you do, but is there anything else, any tips that you've got or approaches you've got just to get more people on board? Or maybe you've got lots of people that are interested all the time, but it is a big commitment, isn't it? You know, it's a lot of time and effort to get involved. So any thoughts on that?
The commitment is for, if you want to put an hour in a week or 2 hours a week, the commitment, the time is totally up to yourself. But what I would say is the opportunities to be part and have a say in what's going on in your community is really good. But also there's opportunities for training, further education, not only for older folk, but for younger folk as well. And the recognised qualifications that you can have, so that you can put on your CV, and it's just another part of learning. So for me, that would, for younger folk to come on, I mean, we're not always going to be around, and they have great ideas, and if we just listen to the ideas that younger folk have, and maybe try to incorporate things that they're looking for, because they're the future of the housing associations. So we have to listen to what they have to say, and to let them know that there is opportunities there, apprenticeships and other qualifications that they can access. And even if they're not part of the committee for the community, they can come into the housing association, and we will do our best to put them on a course to help pay for that course as well. So that's what associations, not all just brick and mortar, it's community.
Well, that's great, thanks Linda. I can hear you fine, but I can't see your oh, there you are, you're back. We could hear you, so that's all good. That's all good.
I've got gremlins.
I know, they're quite common these days, aren't they? Anything else in terms of encouraging people like Kieran or Pauline that you'd want to mention? Linda said quite a lot of important things here. But
yeah, part of the encouraging the younger ones is we actually encourage the young ones to go and get, like there's a young lady, Jasmine, we paid for her degree to get a completion on a dancing scholarship. There was another, we asked for contractors if they could take on a young apprentice, and we're proud to say one, Craig, who flourished within the gas call, and they put him through everything, his training, learning to drive, and I think getting your contractors involved as well to assist your youth is good, but at the moment we tend to find the youth have got other things to do. But maybe a couple of years down the line, they might be approachable. All we can do is hope and see. Basically, that's it, and just show the other parts that we do for the youth.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thanks, Pauline. So, Linda, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about EHRA and the history of EHRA and how the associations came together. And that'd be good to understand that. Yeah.
EHRA, our original name was Gekhoff, and I'm racking my brain to think what the Gekhoff stood for, but more or less the same as EHRA. It was started up in 1991, and it was to bring committees together. Although Greater Easter House, with 8 housing associations within the Easter House area, but we're all very close. Communities are close as well, and within the area with 4,000, just under 4,500 houses and 5 community facilities as well, where all the youth from all the different areas within the 8 areas of EHRA, they come together at different times as well. So that kind of alleviated the kind of, you don't go to that area because you don't come from it. It's kind of alleviated that. But we also do, part of it was a kind of money saving exercise as well, where committees and staff could do joint training, which meant that the associations each put some money into the training, and we all got to know one another. The staff have a staff forum that they also attend, and as you've seen with the film, we jointly do a tenants conference as well. It's about bringing us all together. The more of us, we've got a bigger voice when we're lobbying Parliament, and we're doing contracts. We do joint contracts as well, and hustings. We do joint hustings, joint consultations as well, when we've got reports in, the staff and committee look at these, so we do joint consultations, and we commission reports also for the whole area, and so their reports would be like kind of local democrats, and joint training for staff and committees. So it's all about bringing the whole of Greater Easter House together, so there's not a them and us, although we all do keep our own autonomy because our tenants have different needs. But to be one voice when we've got important issues within the Greater Easter House area, a joint voice is better than single voices.
That's great to know. So there's a huge amount of joint activity there going on. So I think there's lessons there for other housing associations in terms of partnership working across the country. We've got a lovely new friend who's joined us. Hello. And we've got a question here from one of the attendees around identifying common goals. So do you try to identify things that are common to the 8 organisations and outcomes as one unit? Is that difficult to do, or is it quite straightforward? As the chair, that'll be I can imagine that'll be quite interesting conversations in terms of agreeing what your priorities are together.
Yeah, I mean, we do have common goals. As I said, we also keep our own autonomy as well. But if there's something for the whole area that benefits the whole area, then we work together to achieve this. And that could be like each housing association putting in money to do a joint project. It could be lobbying our local councillors or our MSPs. There's a whole variety of things that we do. Can be a bit difficult at times because money is not readily available. We've got to be careful because it's grants are very few and far between, and we've got to show value for money because obviously it's for tenants' rent money, so it's got to benefit the whole area. There could be projects that we do that maybe for 1 year East Hall will receive the money to do a project there. The same project can be done in Provan Hall, but they might need to wait a year. We might have to wait a year until that's done, but that's all down to joint working and being able to speak together and seeing the bigger picture and what is good for the whole of the community and not just wee bits of the community.
That's great. I've got a question about if you were kind of starting all over again now, what do you think the challenges would be in terms of setting up what you've done and things? What do you think it would be like today if you were trying to do it? Because obviously been working, this has been happening for a long time now.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Would it be harder or easier? Or
I think it would be easier.
Right.
Yeah, because simply because there's more outside bodies that you can contact for help. There's a better understanding of what housing associations are. There's a bigger community participation, whereas years ago it was people were afraid of change as well, and the housing associations were just seen as they're going to refurbish my house, they're going to build, but through EHRA and other housing associations throughout the movement, we do a lot more. We're taking on a lot of work that was normally done by councils, which we now do, and I think we do a better job, and we get better value for money as well. So yeah, I think it would be easier now for a group like similar or like EHRA to set up, just because there's more of a community feel, no matter where you go or what area you come from. There's a more pride and there's bigger aspirations of what people are looking for.
Yeah, that's good. And Kieran, what do you think? If it was your job to set all of this up, do you think it would be easier or harder? Obviously, you've kind of come in when the associations are well established and the partnership working's in place. Any thoughts?
I'm quite glad that you have been the ones to set it up. It's not my responsibility. But definitely, just what Linda was saying there, it's great to have different organisations there. More organisations are there to support communities, to be able to give you a hand to be able to do it. But yeah, definitely, I'm glad that you have done it for sure.
Yeah. We've got lots of comments from people to say that the video's brilliant and inspirational, so it's important for you to hear that. So lots of people that are with us just now I've fed that back to you. We've got a couple of questions about how you work with other services. So like transport, for example? Have you done anything in terms of improving transport, education, the police or health services? I don't know, Pauline, do you want to come in? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
I think the transport side of things is difficult. We have been trying over numerous years since the fort was built and opened for down this area to receive a straight bus service through. Still trying to this day. The services, I think we have a good rapport with the police, which I think is very good. And the other outside bodies, to be fair, under the EHRA umbrella, which is brilliant, but like what EHRA does, it's way back, it would have been so difficult, and like Linda said, it would be so easy now, because there's all these other organisations all over Glasgow and out with just trying to do what we're doing. But bus services, shocking, don't listen to us. The police, they are really good, so they are. And other than that, I really can't fault what we are doing at the moment, except for this year. You'll have his input in a wee ticket, probably.
It's great.
See, this is the future generation.
It is, indeed. Indeed.
And my son has actually got a house in Ballannock. So this is the next generation to hopefully, like Linda says, start them young.
That's right. Sorry, on you go, Linda.
Sorry, I think with everything that's going on, we work closely with most organisations that we possibly can, but again, it's down to monies as well. You know, if we get a homeless person coming in, there's support needed there. Unfortunately, some of the times they're not able to sustain their tenancy, simply because the other outside support isn't there. It maybe only lasts a few weeks, and that support disappears, which is a shame, because then our staff are left to try and keep that person or that family in a tenancy, and doing some work that they do their best, but they're not qualified to do. So I think that more outside bodies they have their difficulties as well with funding and that, but I think we could work closer with them if they had more staff and had a better approach to what housing associations actually do.
Okay, that's good. I've got a question here about staff networking and sharing of services across EHRA. And are there any formal frameworks for sharing of services, or procurement, anything like that?
Yeah, we have done some procurement work within EHRA. Staff are, as I said, there is a staff forum that staff attend and report back to EHRA. I think probably the best person that maybe answer that question would be Martin Wilkie. Although we do get reports back from the forum, he's probably in a better position to answer that question. I know Martin's there somewhere.
Martin is here. I don't know if you want to come in, Martin, around that. Hi there.
Hi, just when I thought I'd got away with not having to
right.
Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
Yeah, as as Linda said, there's actually a couple of staff forums. So the Senior Officer Forum, there's also forums for housing managers and maintenance staff and so on. And obviously a number of joint initiatives. Linda's already mentioned stuff such as commissioning reports. So a little bit linked to the previous question, I think, was Julia's about other stuff we do to try and influence other statutory providers. So we commissioned a report on local democracy, for example. I think it's important to note that EHRA was actually approached by senior civil servants in recognition of the work they did locally to see how the model could maybe be extended to other services. Beyond that, some of the partners in EHRA currently share an income advice officer, for example, who works across 3 of the partners. There's actually 2 common housing registers rather than 1, which are shared with the partners as well. Rather than overly formal, we've done some work between partners in terms of those of us who, for example, have dedicated finance staff and other partners don't, where that advice can be given to colleagues, same for maintenance or procurement, where people don't have that stuff in-house. And our current work plan is looking at other joint procurement initiatives for actual regeneration work and so on. The other stuff that we do is we have a joint poverty charter, which is beyond just pure housing, that we've all signed up to, committing ourselves to joint poverty alleviation initiatives. So I don't know if that's enough for you, Linda, Chair.
That's lovely, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks very much for that, Martin. That's really good. Okay, so Pauline, you've talked about your grandson and his future being in Easter House. We've got a question for you, Kieran. So do you see your future in Easter House? Do you imagine that you're going to live and work in the area moving forward?
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting you should say that, because I've actually put a bit of thought into that, because I was speaking quite recently to quite a lot of my friends, and they were saying where they would like to go and stuff like that. But I would like to stay in Easter House, because it's, you know, it's where my family's from, it's where my family is, and obviously I'm quite invested with the work that I'm doing here, and, you know, just trying to keep myself grounded in Easter House, because I think it's quite important as well, that, you know, when you're doing work in a community, I think it's best served if you're actually a member of that community as well. For sure.
Excellent, that's great. Another question, the fact that this event is online, so we're doing this digitally, which is fantastic that we can do that, but it shows how important internet access is. And Kieran, you'd mentioned already that there was a focus on digital connections for young people and supporting them with that. And so I suppose, does anybody want to say anything around the work that your individual organisations or EHRA are doing around improving connectivity and getting people online in the community?
We spoke about that recently, especially due to circumstances just now with COVID, and a lot of people are isolated. So that's something, I don't know, I think some of the housing associations have issued some tenants with laptops and iPhones, different things, but that's something that EHRA will be looking at to roll out, to make sure that there's nobody within Greater Easter House exempt or excluded from being able to have internet access as well. And again, that will be a partnership working as well.
Fantastic. I think just before we round up, you've talked about so much of what you do in the video, brought that to life as well, and it's good to hear detail in your own perspectives and things. But I was going to ask each of you, if you think about all the activity you're doing, partnership, the work you're doing in your communities, what you're most proud of. So Pauline, do you want to kick off on that? If there's something particular you've done, or a kind of more general feeling that you have around Pride?
I think due to my years on the committee, I was proud to watch from the ground upwards all the separate new builds that we had, classed as old builds, because we've now got 2 other new builds up and coming. I like to see all that in my area, so I do. And just seeing the progression, and the other one was managing to, like Linda says, with the windows, they were all wooden round here. Now we're gradually getting them all white PVC, so we're making the houses even more soundproof. That was good to watch, and a lot of neighbours gave us some good feedback on that one, that they've actually saved on their utility bills. So that was another good hit as well, that we've actually assisted the tenant with their utility bills. So just what I call as simple things like that, but it's big things to the tenant.
Oh, yeah, big things. Brilliant. Thanks, Holly. Kieran?
I'm really proud of the COVID support that we've done so far at the Granburn Centre. We've been doing food parcels, hot food. We've also been, going back to the digital point, trying to keep people connected. So people that use our services, we bought a bunch of tablets and laptops and stuff like that. And we're trying to give them out to people that we sort of identified would need it. And my colleague Reece, my friend Reece, he was doing some mental health support with the kids as well. So they were doing sessions online via Zoom, just like this during lockdown. But definitely, for the perspective of going out and being quite hands-on with the community and being able to be there and speak to different people that I normally wouldn't interact with, I think that was beneficial as well, because we've built up relationships. And on top of it as well, it's also helped them if they've had any issues, from a housing perspective that they would like to be fed back to the housing. We're able to do that as well, because we work in close partnership, and we're able to get the right person to get in touch with them and try and come up with solutions to any issues they have. So I'm definitely proud of that.
Yeah, that's great. Linda?
I think for me, the biggest thing is bringing the community together, and seeing people taking a pride of their properties and the area as well. And one for me is being able to gain access to learning. Unfortunately, I spent some of my youth in Holland, and when I come back, my certificates and that weren't recognised here. So the housing opportunity gave me the opportunity to gain certificates that were recognised here, and also to help me gain employment. I'm still trying to get my head around the digital side of things, and we're not too clever at that. But yeah, for me, it's all about the community and people speaking to one another, putting ideas forward. And sometimes the ideas, it's like a wish list. We look at it and we think, yeah, we can do A, B, and C, but D and E maybe have to wait a couple of years. But although it's put in the back burner, they're not forgotten. And when we've got money, we're able to give tenants that wee bit extra and rub it off our wish list.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And we've got a comment here that it's really important, particularly just now and in the near future, that we celebrate, you and we celebrate and profile the success that you have in your communities and also further afield. And SFHA is delighted to be hosting this webinar as part of that. And we're keen to continue to give the profile to the work that you're doing at national level, and to work with you on that. We've got a final comment here, which I think is a lovely place to finish. So this is from Maureen Morris, who's saying, I believe Wellhouse is the place to be, but being part of EHRA, I also believe Greater Easterhouse is the place to be. So that's a lovely comment, I think, to finish us off. So I really just wanted to say thank you so much to Pauline and your beautiful grandson, and to Kieran and to Linda for your time and sharing your experiences and the learning and all of the work that you're doing at this webinar. It's just been fantastic, very inspiring. And yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Could I just thank SFHA for profiling the EHRA film, but also thanks to yourself and Karen for hosting it, and to the participants that have taken an interest in the film. So I would just like to thank all of you very much.
Yeah, certainly our pleasure. Thanks, Linda. And so for moving forward, the webinar schedule is on our What's On page on SFHA's website. We're adding new things every day, so keep an eye on that. So really just to round up, thank you very much to everyone for joining us. Thanks again to Pauline, Kieran and Linda, and we look forward to welcoming you to another webinar soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.